There's certainly a wind of change in the world of Call of Duty. Following the groundbreaking buyout of Activision by Microsoft, the upcoming Black Ops 6 will be the first game in the franchise to launch day one on Game Pass. On top of that, after a few somewhat difficult development phases, this new title promises vast engine and gameplay improvements, and it's set to be Treyarch's most ambitious shooter since Black Ops 3 way back in 2015. We tried the multiplayer beta in its early access window on Xbox Series X, and here are our impressions. The multiplayer is inserted within the game's universe, of which campaign takes us back to the 90s, not long after the events of Treyarch's previous title, Black Ops Cold War. Discussions about that are for the day we review said game next month, as what this beta is about is a slice of the multiplayer experience, which spanned over 2 consecutive weekends. The first only for those who pre-ordered and Game Pass subscribers, with the second finishing just a couple of days ago, which was open to everyone. The developers even unlocked new game modes, maps, weapons and perks as the beta progressed to get people to familiarise themselves more and more with the game mechanics for what promises to be the most transformative Call of Duty experience since 2019's Modern Warfare reboot. The elephant in the room is obviously the brand new Omni-Movement system. I could write entire articles about how it technically works, but what you realistically need to know is that it allows for what is essentially limitless movement. Sprinting can now be done in any direction on the full 360 degrees of your movement stick. Lying on the ground again allows for complete turns, with the virtual avatar of the player moving accordingly. And perhaps most controversially, there's more air control than ever. Pressing the crouch button while sprinting launches us into dolphin diving. Black Ops 2 gang, rise up! But with more freedom than ever, as players can freely aim while they're in the air and even turn 180 degrees with the press of a button for a devastating and unexpected quick attack. This new system feels really fun to use, and I suspect some of these changes will inspire many first-person shooters for years to come. I'll just say that after playing with the Omni-Movement in the last few hours of the beta, going back to my X-Defiant sessions, a game with a more classical Call of Duty style movement felt oddly limiting. One thing has to be said though, we've played the small arena-based multiplayer experience of the new Call of Duty, a mode where this system will hardly see its most exciting uses. With such small maps, tight corridors and barely any buildings with more than a single story, it's hard to effectively use the crazy options the new Omni-Movement system offers. What it does offer, from my hours in the betas, is mainly people dolphin diving into every other corner, which is just very goofy to look at, to be frank. Players can even take enemies as hostages and use them as human shields if they so desire, but again, this beta only allowed us to play frantic game modes like Team Deathmatch or Domination, and as such I've barely had the chance to use it or see it in action, and it's something that surely should be tested more thoroughly on bigger maps, objective-based game modes, and of course the franchise's own free-to-play battle royale sensation, Warzone. I've been vocally criticising the multiplayer of recent Call of Duty games. I don't want to waste much time on repeating myself, but let's just recap my feelings with a single statement. Infinity Ward, in their desire to bring back the Modern Warfare days of old, also deleted a decade's worth of quality of life changes, balancing design choices and features. It's what I always loved about Treyarch's Call of Duty games, a much more clear direction in game design, a desire to have some sort of balance, a real rock, paper, scissors type system where anything can be countered with something else. And this boiled down to a lot of smart tweaks in the way that perks worked, in the usable items, in the kill streak and score streak systems, even the map design. Starting from that last point, it's good to have Treyarch back in charge because the 3-lane system is back. I perfectly get why some people prefer the more organic and natural feel of the Modern Warfare trilogy maps, but the 3-lane design is a lot more balanced, a lot more fair, and always allows for alternatives. There's never massive lines of sight from which one can snipe the whole map. No open area is ever visible from too many directions, and there's all sorts of interconnected paths that give players a way to outflank an aggressive enemy team flanking a route. Almost all of the new maps allow this old philosophy, and I find them to be very enjoyable maps in general, with a few even offering a surprising amount of verticality. Another point of contention in the Call of Duty community has always been the TTK, or time to kill for short, as in how much time on average does an enemy player need to get killed. Infinity Ward's Modern Warfare games have always had a very low number, with Treyarch pushing the frantic shooting from the other end of the spectrum, having a higher average lifetime. For Black Ops 6, we're seeing a little compromise. The TTK is noticeably higher than it was in Modern Warfare 3 last year, but it's also a tad lower than recent Treyarch games, perhaps to go hand in hand with the new Omni movement system, which allows for some ridiculous acrobatic kills that with higher health points would just not happen that often. The way hit points are calculated too has been upgraded in a way to register better which part of the body is hit. Though in a game as frantic as Call of Duty, this felt a bit trivial and barely noticeable in my many hours of the beta so far. Anyway, this all meshes well with the current weapon balance, as always alternating assault rifles, SMGs, sniper rifles, shotguns, pistols and so forth, with each weapon style having advantages and disadvantages. The gunsmith is back, so people can still customise all their weapons, but from what I saw in this beta, there doesn't seem to yet be any particularly broken weapon builds. There likely will be down the line, but more on that later. To my great displeasure, the excellent Pick 10 system is once again a no-show. Treyarch invented this brilliant loadout system for Black Ops 2 back in 2012, where players could almost freely use 10 items of their choice for their class. Want a gun with more attachments, 6 different perks? All of this was possible. The player only had to decide what else to sacrifice, such as having one less weapon or no grenades and so on. Black Ops 6 is more in line with recent Call of Duty games, with a class system that is nearly identical to last year's Modern Warfare 3, but there's a few twists and turns. The most notable one is the Specialist, which unlocks an extra power for the players if the same colour of perks is used in each slot. For one, if you could choose to use 3 offensive type perks, you get the Enforcer bonus, further reducing weapon motion, fall damage and more. The new wildcards are perhaps the closest thing to Pick 10 we're ever going to get at this point, as it's an extra bonus perk of sorts each player can use on their loadout, giving some ridiculous buffs such as an 8 weapon accessories at once or 4 perks. All in all, it's a greater freedom than in recent games, though still not as expansive as Pick 10 used to be. In yet another flip-flop feature of Call of Duty games, killstreaks once again abandon us, leaving scorestreaks in their place. In short, to earn the various streaks such as UAVs, the iconic RCXD, it's back, or attack choppers, people no longer only need to get progress via kills. It's all about points now. This means that capturing an objective, scoring assists, finding enemies via the UAV and so on all contribute to our streak, allowing us to earn some of the more useful and powerful abilities without being a FaZe alumni when it comes to the shooting, but via simply helping the team in other ways. The Treyarch style balance also applies to countering score streaks, of course, and as such there's always a perk to counter whatever you're facing. So far, the aforementioned rock, paper, scissors formula works very well, and I hope the future content updates, balance changes and monetized packs won't screw up this precarious balance. By all means, I believe Black Ops 6 multiplayer to be the best design suite the franchise has seen in its post-Modern Warfare 2019 era. The trademark excellent Treyarch map design, the careful balancing out of score streaks and perks, with even the new class system offering a lot more freedom than what was seen in recent memory. I still have a few questions and doubts over the new Omni movement system, as the standard multiplayer modes perhaps haven't allowed us to grasp its full potential just yet. But at the same time, the game inserts itself into the messy, if fun, launcher that Call of Duty currently is. We'll have paid weapons that will probably, again, mess with the game balance. We'll have increasingly wacky skins that, again, will mess with the game's visual style. And a lot of changes and additions of recent titles, such as the inclusion of doors or the death of the Pick 10 system, persist. But at least all the positive features remain as well. Support for up to 120Hz refresh rates, custom FOVs, a myriad of accessibility options, fully customizable controls, and so much more. All features that render Call of Duty one of the better customizable games on console. So all in all, Black Ops 6 seems to be the best iteration of the frantic but largely imperfect multiplayer formula of the newer Call of Duty games. Time will tell how the Omni movement system will shape the casual and esports matches alike, but a long list of smart design choices, many well-designed maps, and the general technical brilliance of recent Call of Duty games could carry this episode to have the best multiplayer in some years. But we'll check back to the full game's launch on October 25th, when Black Ops 6 launches on all current gen and last gen consoles by Sony, Microsoft, PC, and from this year on, even as a day one release on Game Pass on Xbox PC alike. It's a new age of Call of Duty, and we'll discover it together next month. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click like, hit subscribe, and why not ring that notification bell so that we can let you know when we've got some fresh content. And we'll see you next time.